Hey, you guys are listening to Jay Fuller Interviews. Jay Fuller Interviews on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel Jay Fuller Interviews. And coming up soon, the Backfire podcast. Yes, we're taking these interviews off YouTube and we're going to create a Backfire podcast. Subscribe to that as well. We have a great guest for you tonight. This is a phenomenal story and incredible man. I know that for a fact because one of my good friends recommended him. So Nolan Neal, welcome to the show.
What's up,
Hey, it's great to have you on. You are out in California, but you are from Tennessee. Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, I was born in Nashville and raised in like Nashville and East Tennessee, both combined.
So when did you realize that you had a gift of music? Did you always enjoy music?
Well, my mom said that I sang in church when I was 6, but I don't remember that. I remember watching a video when I was, turn this fan off for you. I remember watching a video when I got older, and I thought I sounded terrible, very flat, very pitchy, more pitchy than Nolan Ryan. Dad jokes all day. But that's cool. What's that thing in the upper corner there of my screen?
Oh, it's a little logo. That's what we get going on.
Cool. I didn't know if I had some picture loaded and it's like showing. I like it. It's cool. That's professional, man. I like it. Your podcast looks good too. It looks, yeah. But to answer your question, my mom sang and my dad played drums. That's where they met in a band. So it was kind of like my destiny, I guess. But my grandfather played acoustic. My grandmother played piano. And then when my mom remarried, when I was like, I would say maybe 7 or 8, my mom and dad divorced when I was 6 months old, but then she remarried a guy who played guitar. And so they played gigs. And so I was always around it. And then, but I wanted to do anything but music. I didn't want to do music. I did not want that life because it didn't seem glamorous. Just all those late nights setting up and playing for people who were drunk. That's like what it seemed like to me. I remember being at my dad's shows and getting to like, sound check the drums or whatever. But then I'd be lucky if they could find one kid to go play with, and it'd be me sitting there. Okay, these songs, the same songs again. But then I tried karate. I tried soccer. I tried baseball. I tried everything, and nothing. I always ended up quitting or running off the soccer field crying. I walked 14 people when I tried to pitch because my name was Nolan. I thought maybe I should be a pitcher because my name was Nolan. Yeah. I wanted to be like Nolan Ryan. And then, yeah, man, just, and then when I was like, I don't know, 11, 12, I met this girl named Nikki Kimsey at school, this new kid at school, and she was none of us had ever seen anyone like her. She had like a Nirvana patch on her backpack and a Green Day patch and like a t-shirt that said Rage Against the Machine down the side, and she was all ripped up and she had ripped up jeans. And in a small little town of East Tennessee called Dandridge, Tennessee, or Jefferson City, or whatever you want to call it, you just never seen anything like it. So but she was gorgeous, I thought. And so I just remember getting my allowance and going to Walmart and using it. My grandparents were raising me at the time, and I begged my grandpa to take me to Walmart, and I went I was like, where's the rock CDs? And I was listening to Boyz II Men, and I was singing Boyz II Men, and I was really into music at the time. And I knew that I could sing, I guess. I thought I could, but anyways, the long answer to your question, I just remember buying all the CDs that I saw on her backpack or her shirt. And I came home with Nirvana and Green Day and Stone Temple Pilots. I just bought that one because it looked cool. It was Core by Stone Temple Pilots. And I grabbed my grandfather had this one guitar book. It was Elvis. And I picked up the guitar and I learned Don't Be Cool. And then I learned how to play Come As You Are by Nirvana and how to sing it. And then I learned Creep later that week. And that's when I learned some weird chords because STP has all those cool, crazy jazz chords. Sure. Then I got an opportunity to actually play for Nikki one day I played her the song "Creep" by Stone Temple Pilots, and she leaned in and kissed me on the cheek.
Hey, it all worked out. That's good.
It was a
Hey,
very long answer of what got me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to do music." And then,
if it gets you a kiss, no wonder you stuck with it.
mhm.
Hey, did you have siblings growing up?
I had a stepsister.
Were you close?
Um, we got much closer afterwards. Like after
Yeah.
I got older, um, she loved me like a sister, I guess. I mean, I was the annoying little brother. She used to scream out, "Stop singing!" I used to try to sing Whitney Houston, "I Will Always Love You." She'd be like, "You gotta have." I remember her saying this. You gotta have lungs to sing that. You ain't got the lungs for that. I remember that, but
That's funny.
so
Hey,
that was
so
drove me to want to sing so loud and hard.
I started this YouTube channel podcast when the pandemic hit. I just needed some boundary structure to my day, and one of my good friends, Aaron Morris, he said, "Jeff, you need to have Nolan Neal on the show. I'm going to be friends with him, and you need to have him on." And I said, "Nolan Neal, who is that guy?" Well, then all of a sudden, you're all over America's Got Talent. Can you just share America's Got Talent? How did you hear about them? How did the auditions play out? Had you already established a career when they called you? Just talk that story a little bit.
Yeah, I had a gig at Hotel Indigo in Nashville. It's a really cool, it's a really awesome, like 4-star hotel, and really beautiful lounge. I've been playing there for like 10 years. It's a pretty awesome gig. Everybody in Nashville wants that gig. It's one of the only paying gigs in Nashville. and and then before that was, I don't know. I mean, I'd been in bands my whole life, and then I actually got the gig singing for the rock band Hinder. I used to have their CD too. That's what's wild.
Hmm.
And then next thing you know, I'm wearing freaking motorcycle jackets and having blonde tips in my hair and dyeing my hair black. And lots of jewelry. You have to wear lots of jewelry to be in Hinder. It was a pain in the butt. And then I tried out for The Voice like 5 times and got a no every time except for the last 2 times I got a
Yeah.
yes, and went to season 10 and got no chairs turned. I went in there thinking I was going to win the whole thing. And then I got invited back to The Voice again and came back with a lot changed in my life between those times. So I came back as a much better version of me and got 4 chairs to turn. So, um, and that really helped a lot with touring and booking and getting my music out there. I don't like to say my music. It's like the music that channels through.
Sure.
That's I. There's no way I'm smart enough to write these songs, man. I hear these like when I first wrote "Lost" with my roommate David, who I actually met at a halfway house. We were both at a halfway house together after rehab, and he started playing that guitar riff, and I remember we just like played it for like an hour, just jamming the same riff over and over. I'm awake in love, da, 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 da. Had no words really. And then I remember on the drive home listening back. I'm just free flowing. When I write, I just free flow, whatever the heck
Sure.
I feel like singing. And I said something like, um, I don't even remember what it was. It was like, I've survived. I've survived or something. And then on the drive home, we were listening to it. And I looked at him and I was like, dude, is this already a song? This is already a song, right? Like, 'cause this is really good. Like, this is really good. There's no way that we just wrote that. And that's the way it's always been for me. When in a writing session, I'll jump up and like, I always pray before a writing session too. I don't know exactly what I'm praying to. I don't
Yeah.
know God's exact address and social security number like some people claim to, but I believe that God is there and that it's good. But yeah, I just always feel like every song's a gift. Everything is a gift.
Let's back up for a moment. What
Please.
is what is the pressure for a musician to dress a certain way versus just being yourself, or do you just kind of take on that mold and that is who you are when you didn't typically wear a motorcycle jacket or what have you? Whether for yourself or other musicians, do you think there is a pressure or a stereotype that you need to live up to?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really feel so much empathy and for a lot of the young musicians today who feel like they constantly need to be on Instagram, or they need to be relevant, or they need to have so many Spotify plays or whatever.
Yeah.
I try to remind them anytime that I get a chance to talk to one of, like, somebody who asks me, "Hey, how do I make it music or whatever?" I always try to make sure that I say, "Remember that God is much bigger than Instagram, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
gonna be okay. You don't have to be I gotta post 3 times a day though if I want to grow my brand." I mean, I used to be like that. I remember I was obsessed with making sure that, I remember I even tried to buy followers once. Talk about feeling dirty. And luckily, we deleted all those followers, and every follower I have now is organic and natural. And but yeah, I think a lot of people feel like they need it. One huge misconception in the industry is that you need to be thin or in shape to succeed in the music industry, and that's so hilariously wrong. But a lot of managers will tell their artists, you need to drop a couple pounds. Like Edwin McCain has a song. It's like, "You're the hottest thing we've ever seen, but you're going to have to drop a couple pounds before we put you on TV."
Hmm.
That's one of his lyrics. But I
Yeah.
actually have a T-shirt I'm working on designing right now, but I don't think I can release it because I'd have to use the artist images. But I have like Adele holding all her Grammys,
Yeah.
and like Chris Stapleton holding all his Grammys, and then Luke Combs, he's gonna have like his just if he had a has he already got Grammys? He probably has, but
That's
Luke holding his platinum records. I mean, these are people that you know they're they're not skin and bones.
right.
They
Right.
look healthy, and that was something I remember in Hinder. That was a big focus. That was probably the main focus. I remember getting a text from Cody, the drummer. He's awesome, by the way. The guys are great. But I just remember he was like, "Man, we got to get you rock star skinny." And I think he had good intentions. He probably wanted me. Now, I will say you got to be in good shape to be able to sing on stage, and to be able, like, if you're a lead singer and you're like a rock band, you got to run across stage and all that stuff. I recommend doing some cardio and singing while you're doing cardio. That's what I had
Yeah.
to do with the personal trainer 4 days a week. When I was in Hinder, they got a personal trainer for me, and I felt great. I was healthy, but I think that's not to think that you have to be skinny to sell records is so stupid. But I don't know.
So
I'm a rebel too, man. They were probably just trying to help me, and I was like,
So this is Nolan Neal on Make Some Time. And so they say about leadership, leaders, they're not born, they're built. Is
right.
that the same with a great vocalist? Is that something that you're born with, but whether it's having better cardio or just having a coach? I just find it amazing that some of the best singers, best athletes, they all have coaches. And you think, why do you need a coach when you're so far above everybody? But for you, the question is: are great vocalists born or are they built?
That's a great mystery, man. I mean, I like to believe that we all have the same light, that we are all the same light in different shell. Every single person has the exact, I call it like a little blue orb, right?
Yeah.
We all get to hold it. And that's my gift is I took it and I practiced and I practiced and I worked really hard. I mean, if you listen to some of the songs I released when I was 22 to like 29, I sounded a lot like I just sounded like I had marbles in my mouth. I was trying to do that 90s her thing. And I didn't really have my own voice. But I believe that maybe it's a mixture of both. I mean, I am a big fan of Wayne Dyer, and he has a book called Manifest Your Destiny,
Hmm.
Manifesting Your Destiny, one or the other. But that book changed my life because I didn't even read the whole thing. I just had to read this one part where I used to always wonder about, okay, like the law of attraction, everyone starting to kind of hear about that now. And I used to think, well, if you're like 3 foot tall, how are you going to manifest yourself to be like in the NBA?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to slam dunk? Somebody going to throw you up there with, um, and that's when I found his book. They say when the student's ready, the teacher appears. So there was a part in there that says when you have to do these certain things before you can even start to manifest your destiny. It's like, what does that mean? Manifesting your destiny. So I believe that one of the things was to get quiet, to get humble, to meditate, and just get spiritually healthy.
Yeah.
Because I believe that I do think that there's fate. I do think there's such things as destiny. But if you have so much noise going on and you're not focusing and you're not being silent and meditating, that you can maybe like I've always said it like this, and I have a tendency to ramble, but that's okay. This is a podcast. That's what it's made for.
Yeah.
Um, I imagine like people like to say that God knows everything that's going to happen. I don't. I disagree and agree. I think that there's like, if God was to look at your life and all the paths on it, like a on a map, it would look like a tree with like millions of branches, right?
Hmm.
And I think that God knows every single one, whatever God is. I don't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
saying he, but God knows every single freaking path because time maybe doesn't exist over there, and the one that God knows is the best one for you is like lit up bright in God's mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But God has no clue which one you're going to take, because that just does. There's no way that God would know. Maybe God does, but I just think that God's like, I hope you take this one. This one's the one I know is good and will make you the most happy. And then these are the other ones you can go down. And so I think sometimes people will follow their ego or follow, fame like I used to do. And I was chasing this rock star path down here that was dark.
Yeah.
And it was like that picture there behind you. That's my face my beard was dyed black. Okay. My hair was flat ironed. And that was me realizing that they just all said no to me. That's such a wild thing that just popped up.
Well, this is why I wanted to get into this, because for those that do not know your story, and hopefully we can share more of your story, when you were eliminated by The Voice, a lot of people would say that was the biggest adversity that you would ever have to face. Uh, what type of disappointment, you shared a little bit before, but was that to your self identity, to your self worth, not having chairs turned for you, or just being eliminated by The Voice?
Well, it needed to happen for me to grow. It had to happen. Those I do believe our pain is a gift. And just to kind of, to sum up what I was saying a minute ago, um, when you do get silent, I believe that once I got silent and once I meditated, then I was able to get on the correct path. I
Yeah.
remember being in the drive-through at Chick-fil-A, right? This last time I got sober, which is about to be 15 months, and
Well,
we'll talk about that if you want. But
yeah.
I remember being in the drive-through and just being so frustrated that like no one in the industry was returning my calls. Don't you know who I think I am? I sang for Hinder and I was on Voice and I can sing really good or whatever the heck my ego likes to say. And I remember leaning up against the steering wheel and I said, "Okay, God, all right, I get it. I understand." Because when I was sober the first time for 3 years, I used to play at treatment centers and I was so happy
Hmm.
and so full of joy and just so at peace. And I was just playing at treatment centers for like 30 people at a time or maybe 60 people. And then when I got into Hinder and I was playing for 10,000 people, I was constantly miserable and never happy. I was just so busy and never slept. We were just constantly going. We were recording a record and video shoots, 18-hour days, and I was just really trying to become famous and become known or like to prove to everyone that they were wrong, that I could make it. And so then when The Voice happened, it was kind of the same thing. I kind of fell into that whole, oh, my episode's going to be on. I have to make sure that I have a social media team and all that. And then I got the no. I went home. I learned how to meditate. I got sober again and came back and turned 4 chairs. And then, but as soon as the fame started happening, there were like 50,000 articles about me
Yeah.
wide. And it was like, I started doing that thing again. Like I remember like yelling at the social media people that we had hired and like, you guys aren't posting the right stuff or whatever. And I just lost my sight of what was important again. So in that Chick-fil-A drive through, I said, whatever you want, God, whatever you want me to do, if that is to get a job here at Chick-fil-A, if it's to freaking walk dogs, whatever, you want me to play treatment centers, I got you. I understand that your way is what's going to make me happy. And so I just let go that day and they say, let go and let God. And I did. And so, in a matter of months, I was signing with Desmond Child I got called to do a demo vocal for Desmond Child. He's written, Living on a Prayer, Dude Looks Like a Lady, all of the big Ricky Martin hits,
Sure.
Perry. And I was so stoked. I've always wanted to, sing a song for him and him to hear my voice or something. And so I went over there and sang a song just to sing a demo. I was very humble and happy to be there. And when I came out, he was like, "So you have like the best voice like in the world. What are we gonna do with you?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "No, you're like one of the best vocalists I've ever worked with."
Hmm.
And I knew that he had like recorded Steven Tyler, and Bon
Yeah.
Jovi, and that was so awesome to hear that. And so we signed a deal, and you know,
It's amazing. Hey, so when I Googled you, this is what comes up, and so many videos and news articles and stories about you. But you told your story, or a big part of it, at on America's Got Talent, that of your father and what took place there. You mentioned that your parents got divorced when you were young. When you were an adolescent, how much did you miss your dad in those days?
um, when I was sorry, what was the question again? Somebody knocked on the door. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
just after your parents got divorced, for
Hmm.
those next few years, how much did you miss your father?
Um, I remember I have a memory of my mom coming to pick me up from my dad's, and I was grabbing onto the steering wheel and screaming, "No, I don't want to leave," you know, and like
Yeah.
grabbing and trying not to be pulled away, as my mom probably felt terrible. Why doesn't he want to come home with me? I just my stepfather that my mom remarried was, oh, oh, touched it with my foot. He was very abusive. Um, he beat the crap out of me, and she would come home from work and he would completely lie about it and say nothing happened. And and my dad would hear about it and he would get pissed off. My dad was a lot of things, and he was nuts in a lot of ways, but he was never the type to get. He only was physical with me maybe a couple times, like he spanked me with a belt a couple
Yeah.
times, or there's one time he smacked me across the face. But honestly, I deserved it, man. Like I kind of wish that. Whatever. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, spare the rod, spoil the child is what the Bible says. I don't know, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, um, I don't even know that I trust the Bible completely. Anyways,
Yeah.
moving on. So yeah, I definitely wished that he was there a lot more. But then I went to live with him for a while, and then but yeah, my stepfather was nuts. And dude, why? Why would it hold on. Dude, I don't want to kill you. You're a spider, but here, you can't just do your little spider web down on my freaking head, dude. Oh,
So Nolan, when you were
spider.
going through that time in your stepdad, how did you fill that void? Is that when you really got into music? When you met that girl that gave you the kiss? Is that when you really pursued um, trying to fit in, whether it was throwing pitches, playing baseball, or did you always seem to kind of isolate yourself from people?
Um, I I wasn't into music then yet. I was like 9 or 10 years old when all that was going on with my stepfather. I was just a kid playing at the trailer park, man.
Yeah.
um, but I did start huffing gas and stealing cigarettes and smoking cigarettes, and I
Yeah.
started drinking at like 9 or 10 years old. It was like an escape for me, and like they would get in a fight and literally like he would be like punching my mom right in the face, like right in front of me, and she would yell and scream for me to go call the police, and I would run to a neighbor's house, try to escape. I remember I got out a couple of times, and two different times I called the police, and when the police showed up, she was like, "Everything's fine, Nolan, why did you do that?" I feel bad for her. She was afraid to be alone. I don't blame her. But anyways, the third time it happened, I'd had enough of it, so I ran to call the cops. And when I was on the way back, I knew it was going to happen. So I bit a hole through my lip. I still have a scar. And I bit a hole through my lip and had blood running down my face.
Wow.
And I just ran to the cop and said, "Look what he did to me." And they slammed him on the cop car and took him away. And, and my mom came over to me and was like, "Why did you do that, son? Why didn't you know?" It was terrible. And then whenever he got out of jail, I had to apologize to him for the welts on his back where I hit him with my bow staff trying to get him off my mom. But yeah, that was just one little piece of it all. But I know that there's other people who've had it worse for sure. Well, what in the world? Hold on, sorry. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Why is this happening? Dude, my phone is on Do Not Disturb, bruh. Really? Sorry.
It's all right.
My phone is like my favorite enemy.
Well, since you've been on America's Got Talent, how many phone calls, text messages, social media messages are you getting? Do you have time to rest and enjoy California, or is this kind of an added stress along with a little bit of fame?
Oh, it's all good. Oh, the good news is I know what the mission is. I know what I'm doing this for this time. I know
Yeah,
what the purpose behind all of it is. So it makes it a lot more enjoyable. But we have had close to about 4,000, maybe more direct messages, text messages. So about 1,000 texts because I've had the same phone number for 10 years,
yeah,
11 years. I've had the same phone number and I used to run a writer's night in Nashville. So I had everyone had my phone number. It was on our website. So it's still the same number. So literally like my episode airs, I get tons of texts,
yeah,
but it's okay because it's like that's cool, man. It's awesome. It used to stress me a little bit because I felt like I needed to reply to everyone, but then I learned with older age that the people who get upset with me that I don't reply are not people I need to have in my
yeah,
life. You know,
yeah,
people who text and go, "Hey, are you okay? I haven't heard back from you." You know what I mean? And then they text again, "Dude, are you all right?" Like, those are the ones you want to keep around. But the people who are
sure.
like, "Fine, you're too big to be a rock star," block, delete, never talk to them again, ever. Pray for them, hope they
Yeah, yeah,
find their way, man. But yeah, I actually have some friends who help me. I have a good friend named Jared. He's incredibly amazing. He's been friends with me since middle school. He read actually 1,500 messages, and what we do is he takes a screenshot if it's somebody who's like reaching out because of recovery, anything with
yeah,
addiction or depression. That's our mission statement is that, we want to help the broken and to become unbroken and to remember, I think it's called kintsugi. It is the Japanese art of putting gold in the cracks of pottery to
hmm,
show. I think that's what it's called. I'm pretty sure, but that's at the header of my little record label email that I've been making. I've been making my own record label.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's where the Japanese philosophy of they believe that when something's broken, it makes it stronger, it makes it more beautiful. So they accentuate the cracks with gold, and
I'll have to look that up. That's very fascinating. Very fascinating.
that's really cool. I love that. But yeah, we the whole point of doing this is to try to help other people because
Yeah,
there's no amount of money or fame. When I signed to Virgin Records, I got $250,000. It was right after my dad shot himself, and I was completely and utterly miserable in a
yeah,
limousine, spending $7,000 a night on just dumb stuff like
yeah.
$500 bottle of wine for everyone at the table, or like just I spent that money in like 2 months. And I
Do,
was not happy. I was like I would go up to the top of this mountain. We recorded in the Catskill Mountains in New York, and I would go climb up to the fire
yeah.
tower and look over the mountain and just cry and scream for an answer. Like, why? Why did
Hmm.
my dad do this? Why? Like, what is the point of all of this? Why is there so much suffering down here?
So one silly question: did that 500 bottle of wine taste better than a regular $50 bottle of wine?
No, man, not at all. No,
At least
no.
not by the end of the night, right? Not by the end of the night.
The only thing that I've noticed that it gets better the more you pay for it is music gear. Like that's it. If I go to anytime somebody says, "Man, I got a $200 mic that sounds as good as a $3,000 mic," I'm like, "No, you didn't. Why is there still $3,000 mics then?" I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't. It's so crazy, man. It's funny. It's funny.
Nolan,
Kind
what
of like
mic?
webcams now. Webcams
What
are 10 times more now.
what microphone do you have right there?
This is a Neumann M147.
Are you pretty happy with it?
I love it. It's great. I was trying to see where my. I also have a Telefunken 47, but I'm a big fan of Neumann. I love it, and I actually was just doing some vocals earlier for practicing for my live
Yeah.
show for AGT. I can't say what song I'm doing, but I was practicing it here. Um, so you probably can't see. Maybe the benefits of having this tripod is I can show you guys around.
All right.
Here. Oh, you can kind of see my I got this little MIDI keyboard here.
Yeah,
It's
there you
I
go.
got some mangoes, and then I have see I got some of my guitars, and my Taylor guitars are actually downstairs right now.
Okay.
But you can't really see them. But then I have this. Oh gosh, it's so dark in here you can't even see it.
Hmm.
Can't turn the flashlight on. Anyways, this is my little studio room. Got that little light up there for my hair, bro. Got that
Yeah.
there for you. I'm
Very nice.
I'm trying to learn how to make YouTube videos so I can keep my channel growing and just like I say the inspiration behind all of it is to try to help people. What I want to show people and what I want to tell people is I want to tell them that I understand more than
Yeah.
you ever understand. I understand how it feels to be dope sick in your mom's basement or in any basement. It seems like we always end up in basements as drug addicts. But I just want to tell them that I know what it's like to feel completely hopeless and to know that there's no chance of anything getting better. I remember being like $20,000 in debt, and the IRS was sending me letters, and Honda was sending me letters because my car that I had totaled in the forest, they were wanting their car back, and like just I'd been shooting heroin and morphine, and I just remember that darkness, and I knew there was no way out. But then, man, I just made it through it, and
So way.
really easy steps that I found to make it through it. Um, you know, one of them is probiotic, making sure your gut health is good. Breathing deep, just deep breathe.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, take a deep breath. It's amazing how just taking a deep breath can literally make you feel so much better. Well, what have I done here? I've tangled myself up. Oh well. Anyway, and then of course sobriety, man. Like it's the human mind can handle so much more. It can problem solve when it's sober. A gratitude list the second that you wake up instead of
Yeah.
putting on your phone and checking stuff, just a gratitude list. And I'm not
Yep.
perfect at this stuff, man. I'm not trying to preach. I still make mistakes and I still have bad days sometimes, but the bad days now are a million times better than my best day before
Yeah.
I was using. So,
See,
but
there's some.
I just want to tell those people that they can make it through it. And I'm not doing anything no one else. I'm not doing anything new. I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing
Yeah.
it, but it's funny, man. It's actually it's not funny, but it's wild how growing up I would hear of these celebrities say, like um fame doesn't matter or anything, and
Yeah.
you just don't. Some things have to be experienced, but yeah,
That's the truth. And people say that winning the lottery won't make you happy, but the joke is like, well, I'd like to try it once.
yeah,
But I think
totally,
you come to the same conclusion as well. There's a famous Christian guy. I don't even know who it is, so I guess he can't be that famous. But he said, "We're simply beggars showing other beggars where to find bread." And I think that's a great reminder
I like that.
of what we get to share. If you would, could you just share the story about your dad when he called you, and then the following day, the tragedy you experienced?
Sure. Yeah, I was staying in a motel in Jacksonville, Florida, an extended stay motel. I was partying a lot, but I had not ever shot up or anything like that yet. And my dad had already been in a little bit of legal trouble, and he went to jail for like 8 months, and he was out on parole, and he called me up, and actually I was just starting to write with Brad Stewart from Shinedown and Jeremy Marshall from Cold, and everything was looking really good. I was in a lot of newspaper and magazine articles, and there was a buzz, and I was getting emails from Evan Lamberg at EMI, and things were starting to look really good. Like Puddle of Mud, all those dudes, everybody was Limp Bizkit, all those cats were just starting to hear about me. And my dad called that night when I was partying. And when I say partying, we were just smoking some weed, drinking or whatever. And he was like, he just said, hey, he said, son, I got caught. I've been, he was selling some of his prescription. He was selling the extras to make enough money to survive, because he was taking care of my grandfather. My grandmother got put in a mental institution, and so he was looking after my grandfather, who my grandfather raised me like almost half my life, and what a great man. I've never known a better man. But besides Thomas Myers, of course, who adopted me. But that's a whole nother story. I got adopted when I was 16 because dad was nuts, and the judge didn't want my mom raising me because she admitted to smoking weed with me when I was 13. So anyway, I yeah, he was just like, I son, I've been selling my a little bit of extra in my prescription because me and dad got high to get. My dad taught me how to crush an oxy and how to snort it with a lighter and a cellophane. And he's like, that I sold some pills to an undercover and I got busted and I'm looking at 20 years. And he's like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to jail, son. And I remember saying, it's okay. Well, look, it's all good. I'm about to sign with Virgin Records. I'm going to get a huge advance and we'll just move you down to Mexico. We'll get you across the border. I was like a movie or something. And he was like, oh, I got a 9mm Beretta right here that'll take care of all of it. Oh, I forgot to mention, 3 months before this phone call, my grandfather, who my dad was watching after, I talked my dad into going to Jacksonville, Florida for a little family vacation. It was the first time I ever had like my mom and my dad together and my daughter. And we all went down to Jacksonville together for like this little beach trip. And my dad was like, I can't leave your grandfather. I can't leave him. Like he needs me to watch after him. I was like, Dad, he'll be fine for like 5 days. And we go down there. And the second day we're there, we get a phone call. My grandfather had a stroke in the kitchen and died. And so my dad blamed himself for that. And he got really bad. And he had to go back to that house because he didn't have his own place where my grandfather died. And he had to live in that house for the next 3 months. And
it's 9 o'clock.
We went to his funeral and all that. It was just awful. So my dad was already, he was like, he said, I miss dad and all this. And he was just talking crazy. He sounded kind of high, but not that messed up. And then I just like, I said, Dad, you can't call your son and say you're going to freaking kill yourself. Who does that? You can't do that, and I was like, Dad, I'm literally about to sign a record deal right now. Like, I'll pay for the best lawyer there is. We'll get your, maybe you have to do a couple years. It's all good. He's like, that last time I was in there, son, I seizured and they wouldn't give me my medicine and I'm not going back. I'm just tired of it all. Plus you ain't never going to keep no record deal anyway. Because I had signed with Hollywood Records when I was 19 or 20 and got dropped because, it was just a crazy time. And, and I had another big deal too that also fell through. So he was like, you ain't never going to keep no deal. And when he said that, I was like, screw this, F you, kind of thing. And I hung up the phone on him and I went back in the room and I was like, all right, let's get effed up, and started just drinking and partying. And then he called back like 30 minutes later or something like that. And I hit ignore and he called back again. I hit ignore. He called back 6 times more and ignore. And then the next day I woke up around 5:30 p.m. That's about the time I usually wake up. No one wakes me up. And I remember waking up and I could see like the sun just like begging its way through the blinds. And I saw my mom sitting beside me. And she goes, son, your dad broke his promise. And I was like, what? Oh, no, sorry. The first thing I did was I said, if I saw her and then I saw my friend Shad Smith from Nashville. And then in my mind, it was like, wait, you live in Nashville. You're in Jacksonville, Florida. Why are you here? How did you get here? Who let you in my hotel room? How are you? And then I looked and I saw my best friend in Jacksonville, Mark Beeson. So Mark Beeson and Shad, and there was somebody else there, my friend Jason, I think. And they were like these big dudes. And I just remember saying out loud, if you guys are here for intervention, you're wasting your time. I'm fine. I'm just staying in a motel right now. I'm fine. And that's when she said, no, your dad broke his promise. And and as soon as she said it, I kind of knew what she meant. And I was like, before I could say like what happened, she said he shot himself And he actually just died a couple hours ago. He made it like 9 hours in the hospital. They couldn't get the bullet out of his brain, so it went up the roof of his mouth into his head, into his brain. And so he's a tough dude, though, man. That wasn't going to take him out, so he fought, I guess, but there was just no saving him at that point.
How
So
old were you?
I was 7 days away from turning 25, I think.
How old are you now?
I'm 39. My stage age is 32 because
That's right.
looks shallow. We're all drowning. But yeah. Anyway, just kidding. The music industry is shallow, not America. But it's okay. The music industry is dying right now because we all get what we deserve. But I hope that they make it through, and hope their families can survive on the millions that they've stolen from artists. Anyway, so bitter? No, but no. Yeah. So I remember getting up and going into the bathroom, and I shut the door behind me, and I didn't feel anything. So I thought they were going to think I was crazy. So I pretended to throw up. And I remember like trying to make throw up sounds and flush the toilet. And they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'll be out in a second." But I felt nothing. I guess that's what they call shock. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And then, so then we went to the funeral, and I was a mess at the funeral. And for the next like 10 years or so, I had this recurring dream that's so awful. And the dream would always be, we're trying to find Dad because somehow he survived. And some of the dreams he would like crawl out of the grave because he wasn't dead yet. But almost in every single dream, it would be my grandfather trying to help me find my dad. And we would go searching for him, and I couldn't wait to see him again. And then I would find him, and almost every time it would be a different way. But the one that stood out the most was I found him, and I remember he had like these stitches right here across his head, and part of his hair was gone, and he looked kind of like a zombie almost, but it was him, and he was just lifeless. And he'd hand me this pill bottle because that was what he did. He would always hand me the pill bottle to get pills out of. That was kind of how we bonded, unfortunately. That and music, but he would hand me the pill bottle, and I would, in the dream, I would be so happy to have some pills. And I looked in the pill bottle, and it's blood and maggots and swimming around in the bottle. And then I would also have this dream where my grandfather would find my needles, or he would find my drugs, and he would scream at me. And he was not even here on earth. But now I look back and I know what all that means. I know what that, I think there's a reason that pill rhymes with kill and wealth rhymes with health. So, but yeah, man, I know it's dark, but
can you just share a little bit about this song behind me, Hand in Hand?
Yeah. Are you pulling these up, or are they just coming up as we're talking?
I have a remote and I have a mouse.
That's good, man. I was gonna say, dude, your computer like freaking knows what's happening, man. Yeah, man. After that, I downward spiraled pretty freaking hard, and I just kind of gave up all hope. And that's why I'm on the mission I'm on, because I want to spread awareness on what suicide does to those left behind.
Yeah.
Because I understand some people don't want to be here anymore. I get it. There's days I don't want to be here anymore. Life makes less sense than a broken penny factory. But there's I write dad jokes. Sorry. I got dad issues. Anyway, so I got more dad issues than Father magazine. No, sorry, I just made that one up. That's stupid. And there's not even a Father magazine, but if it did, they would have different issues, right, of the magazine. So Hand in Hand. Okay, that basically was just me in my mom's basement shooting dope, trying to die. I was so insane that I thought I was normal at the time. That's what's nuts about drugs, is you think what you're doing is normal. I remember when I would shoot up with this guy who lived next door. I met this dude who lived next door who had cancer, and I would just invite him over and try to like get him to write songs with me. He didn't even write songs, just so I could get him to like, hey, can I get another one of those morphine? And I remember like I would fantasize about him overdosing so I could maybe drain his blood that has morphine in it and shoot it up. And that's how insane, that's how dark. It goes. Matter of fact, he actually tried to end his life, and it was the day I recorded Hand in Hand. I had a verse and a chorus to it, and it was just kind of I was recording it, but I had actually written it. Gosh, my stories are everywhere. But let's see, how do I make this make sense? Okay, rewind a little bit. I had called the police on myself at a hotel. I called the police and said that the house cleaning had stolen my medication because I had a prescription of Xanax and Lortab. And I thought maybe if I did that, I would get another prescription. And then the cops showed up. I had a bench warrant for my arrest for not showing up for court for a traffic ticket.
Yeah.
I'm stupid. And so they took me to jail. And I remember I got dope sick in jail and they wouldn't give me a blanket or anything. And the cop was like, I remember the cop coming to, because I was screaming and crying and there was freezing. You always think that fire is the one that's going to hurt, but man, let me tell you something. Right. Freezing sucks. And it was literally like, it was probably 45, 50 degrees. I don't know. But I remember the cop coming and beating his baton against the door. He's like, you all right in there? You comfortable? I was like, no. And he's like, good. And he walks away and they threw me this weird blanket where you could put your hands through it was like a net. And I got my face in my shirt. And I started thinking when I was in there, I was like, Dad, he freaking showed me how to use this. He showed me how to snort pills. I remember the first day he gave me a line of Oxycontin. This is all getting to Hand in Hand, by the way.
Yeah. The
first day he gave me a line of Oxy. And I'm sorry to use drug names because sometimes it triggers people, but I just like to tell the story. But I remember that, like, he gave me the first line. It was like 5 milligrams, and I walked out on the porch, and I remember it hit me. And I remember, I'll never forget it. I remember thinking, this is how I want to feel the rest of my life. This is it. Like, this is what I've been looking for. It's not huffing gas. It's not cigarettes. It ain't drinking. This is it. This is what I want. And I just started thinking about how he turned me on to that. And I grew this hate for him. With every hour that passed, the more and more I froze, I started thinking to myself, what if he is in hell? Because people were telling me, like, your dad's in hell because he killed himself. Another rumor, urban myth. Nobody freaking knows the answer to anything that happens when we die. And if you think you do, you got an ego problem. Sorry, preachers. Anyway, so I don't know, man. Sue me. So God, this is going to get me in trouble. Who cares?
You're good.
I'm being honest, man. I'm just saying I don't understand how people like know for a fact that this is exactly what happened. Okay, so anyway, when I tell these stories, it gets me a little emotional. So that's what's happening. But I remember thinking to myself, what if Dad is in hell? Because I was trying to go find him in hell. That's what my mission was. I was going to just overdose and die. I tried to overdose many, many times. And every time I'd wake up either in jail or wake up in, someone's floor covered in vomit, and I just seemed to not ever die. And I would be so pissed that I didn't die. Like, I was trying to die so I could go find him and just strangle him in hell as we're burning together, right? And that was kind of where Hand in Hand came from, because it says, so as I was laying there freezing, I started thinking, what if in hell, after like 1 trillion infinite billion years, what if you get used to the fire? What if you find a way to get used to the suffering? And what if you grow numb to it? And so I started thinking, I hope. So the chorus says, when you get used to the fire, I hope it grows cold and you freeze, because the past is a hard place to live in. So I'll see you soon, old man, and we'll burn hand in hand. And that's what that was about. And so, but as I was sitting there in the jail thinking about it, I didn't write it then, but when I got out of jail, I got picked up by the guy who adopted me when I was 16, Thomas. And I remember him saying, he's like, man, you can't stay with us. I don't want my kids around you. I don't want my wife around you. You're a mess, dude. But I know you don't have anywhere to go. So I've got an empty rental house, and I'll run a power cable to it. I got a little kerosene heater, and there's a little mattress we can throw in there. And that was it. That was what I had. It was like this long extension cord running through the window to a little light and then a little kerosene heater and a mattress. And that was it. And I had my guitar. And I remember asking to use the phone, and I went over to the side and I called my drug dealer. And I was like, hey, man, I got a guitar. I'll give you my guitar. I just need some drugs, man. I just got to, I'm dope sick. And my dealer was actually kind of a friend or so. And he said, man, he's like, man, I ain't going to take your guitar, man. I ain't going to take your guitar, man. I'll come bring you one pill. That's all. You need to get help, man. And I was like, what dealer tells you to get help? He brought me one pill, which was just enough to make me not sick. And I laid down in that empty house when Thomas left, and I had my guitar, and I started playing. Oh, I don't have my acoustic. Hold on. I have on sports too. Who cares? Let me grab my guitar.
And again, this is Nolan Neal grabbing his guitar. He's on America's Got Talent, telling quite a phenomenal story, quite a phenomenal journey he's been on. And you're listening to the Backfire podcast on Spotify, Jay Fuller Interviews on YouTube, the Facebook group, Instagram, and Twitter, Jay Fuller Interviews.
I just realized this is live and you can't edit it.
It's all right, Nolan. We're good.
Anyway,
we're good.
They're bringing me my guitar. It's out in the car because I just took it to do some filming yesterday.
Yeah.
Come here, bud. Come up here, Peef. This is my dog, Peef. So I laid there and I started playing the riff. This thing is uneven. I started playing the riff and I just sang that. It just came out. When you get used to, and I could hear my voice ringing through this empty house with hardwood floor, and it was beautiful sounding. And I just remember the anger and pain behind it. And luckily, I got an intervention staged and I ended up going to rehab.
Yeah.
And when I was in rehab, I actually wrote the second verse in rehab.
So let me ask you, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask you, did all of the songs that you've written come that easily? Or what is the process when you write a song? This one in particular just seems like it just came in the moment and was just passionate and was just there. Is that the majority of your songwriting?
Most of the time. Yes, most of the time. Thank you so much, bud. You rock. This is Cadence, by the way.
Hey, Cadence.
Cadence, say hi.
Good to see you, man.
This is my
I'm Jeff. I'm up here in Vermont, but I'm glad you're enjoying California.
Yeah, he came to visit, and we just got done. We were at the pool all day, so we were making sure to unplug for a little bit because it has gotten crazy. But I try to make sure to keep balance in there, make time for.
Dinner's gonna be ready in like an hour.
Perfect. Thanks, bud.
Yep.
But I'm not supposed to perform on these podcasts, but I'm not gonna. I think I'm not supposed to perform anything. I'm gonna play on the show, but I don't even know what I'm playing on the show yet. I'm still figuring that out. So let me ask you: Can you hear reverb?
Yeah.
You hear it? Cool. So I was just laying there and this came out. It was like, let's see. Didn't sound that bad, but I just started playing that and I just remember thinking like, that's how I felt. So one thing I learned in my life is I'm going to get a better tripod, guys. I promise.
You're good.
My video went away, didn't it?
Yeah, but we can still hear you.
What?
So
Try a webcam, people. Don't try to use your iPhone as a webcam. It's a terrible idea. It's a phone. Here we go. I'm back at you.
all right, well, good. There you go. Yeah, we see you.
It disconnects. Anyway, so yeah, and then I just kind of I just remember I just wrote the chorus that night. It was just but yeah, the thing I learned in life with music is that when you are really in pain or you're hurting or just to try to look at that, it's almost impossible to do when you're hurting, but I just try to remember, I try to say it every day. Pain is a gift. Pain is a gift. Pain is a gift. And I really discovered how my pain was a gift on this show when I got to play Lost. There's no way that I'd be able to sing those notes in Lost if I didn't feel all that desperation and all that like loss of hope. And so that was the way I felt was. That's how it felt. And it sounds better. This is how it sounded in that room. That's all I had. And then later, I just remember like later on in the night as I laid there, I just started going, when you get used to the fire, hope it grows cold. It's too much reverb. And you'll freeze, 'cause the past is a hard place to live in. I'll see you soon, oh man, and we'll burn hand in hand. And so every time I sing that song, I go back to that room.
Wow.
Back to that feeling. And that is why musicians should be paid a lot.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That's why, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. It's not funny. But yeah, that's and then whenever I got a little more clarity on it, I wrote the verses. The first verse was written from a place of anger, and you can hear it in that verse. They say when it rains while the sun is shining and angels crying below, seems like you would know. I'd trade my life here today and give up my place in the sky just so I could tell you face to face that when you get used to the fire. And then, after probably 3 months later, I was sober and wrote the second verse, which I'm not going to recite every song. You should just check out this song. It's great. It's not even, it's on my YouTube page. Yeah. It hasn't been released yet. I've never released a version of it yet, but it'll be on the new record called Lost for the Last Time, by the way.
When is that record due to come out?
I am planning on it to come out in the fall. I thought that would be a good time. It gives me some time to get it finished. I've been working on this record my whole life, pretty much. This is a collection of songs that either I've made better or I've rewritten some. Like, for instance, the version of Lost that's out now, it doesn't even have the same lyrics as what I sang on the show. There's a few, some people, I don't know if they've noticed, but there's a part where I say, lost for the last time, that's a new addition to the song because I wanted the song to have hope. Because I didn't think that saying today I found myself lost, it was just like an incomplete, it was still dark until we added that last line in, which we actually added in for Saliva because Saliva wanted to have different lyrics in their version. So the Saliva version is way different, but that's actually when I auditioned for the show. Desmond says, don't audition with a, he's like, you're not supposed to really, I mean, I guess you can audition with an original, but they suggest you to audition with a song that people know. And so Desmond said, tell them you're going to do a cover song of a song that you wrote. I was like, this is a song that I wrote, but it's been released. So this is a cover technically. Here you go. And I played it, but,
Okay, so a couple just goofy questions because I'm on the outside. What's it like having Terry Crews and the other judges there? Is that just surreal or, and especially during this pandemic, it's just kind of different, but talk to us a little bit about that.
Even it being on Do Not Disturb is not enough. Hold on, let me try this.
That's
my bad, dude. Sorry.
It's all good.
Okay. So what's the question?
The judges from America's Got Talent, what type of interaction have you had with them, and do you enjoy them, or is everything scripted?
No, nothing scripted. That's what's cool.
Yeah.
It's yeah, man. I love them, man. They're great. I haven't got to talk to promise next time we do this, this thing's going to be an actual camera.
There we go. Next time, I like that. I'm writing that down. Hold you to
Yeah,
that.
well, I've enjoyed talking with you. Thanks for letting me ramble. I feel like I didn't
Yeah.
get a word in hardly, but I got a lot to say. Terry's great, man. I haven't got to hang out with anybody one-on-one yet, but I know that backstage, man, Terry was like really awesome. They didn't show on camera how much he talks to everybody, and that guy's just a ray of light, dude. He was just like, you got this, man. He even brought my water out to me. Because what you don't see, they edited it out, thank God. But I had like really bad, for some reason, got really bad cotton mouth. And I kept doing that, and I was like, please, I hope that when they edit it, that they show the judge whenever I do that. And thank goodness whoever edited it, thank you so much. But yeah, it was so awesome to hear Simon say positive things. That made me. It was validating to say, don't give up, keep going. You know, one of the things that he said on the judge cuts that you didn't. I don't know if they aired it or not, but he just said, there's this preconceived notion that you have to be a certain age to make it, which is complete BS.
Yeah.
So when he said that felt really good to hear that, But yeah, man, Terry's a hype man. I got to say, actually, I have some pictures I should probably post. I have a picture of me and Sophia. I got to talk to Howie one-on-one.
Nice.
Howie actually came back when he was leaving. He came back and he popped his head in the waiting area where we're all sitting, getting ready to audition.
Sure.
And he just said, "That guy rocks," and pointed at me. It was so cool. It was after my audition. And I took off running. I ran up and I was like, "Don't worry, man." And I just said, "Dude, thank you so much for the kind words, And we talked about mental illness and depression and how important that was to him. We talked for like maybe 10 minutes. It was really cool. He's a really good dude. And then I saw Sophia walking by. I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I please get a picture with you?" What's funny is she had her friend with her from that TV show, the one who guest judged, but I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know who that was. I don't watch TV. I just watch like movies or Netflix. Or actually, I just watch YouTube. That's all I do is watch YouTube and learn I'm learning about lighting right now and how to do YouTube videos. And my tripod and phone was a terrible idea. I thought it was going to work. Thought I outsmarted him. I don't need a webcam. I'll just use my phone with an app. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Get a webcam.
Hey, Nolan, a couple more questions, then we'll get you out. And thanks again for coming on. This time, hopefully we can have you back on as well. And so this one's kind of a fun question. If you were featured in a movie, would you want to play the hero or the villain?
I'd want to play the villain who has a change of heart and becomes the hero.
Hey, that's good. That's really good. I always tell people, as you alluded to, I'm a pastor, and if it's fiction, I think I'd like to play the villain. I think that'd be kind of fun to do. Or maybe I should say when the feature film comes out of you, Hernando Planos, I stole this question from his podcast, Be Contagious. Who do you want to play you in that feature film about your life?
Oh, Gerard Butler, the way he was in 300.
There you go. I always say The Rock for myself, Dwayne Johnson. So we don't look alike. But now, what about?
I forgot that you're a preacher. You're a pastor.
Yeah, man, it's all
I
good.
said all that stuff about preachers. That's so professional, man. That's great. Hey, man, I want to let you know how I feel. You know what I mean? I bet that you don't feel like you know every single answer, do you?
You can't. Not if we preach. Not if we preach. You have to live by faith. How can you know everything if you're living by faith?
So just so everyone, just to clear for the record, I'm not trying to backpedal here. I don't do that, but I'm just talking about those people who preach at you that you're going to burn in hell if you don't do this. That's not their place to tell you that. Yeah. It's no one's place. The only person who can judge, according to what I've been taught, is the judge itself, and that's God. But I honestly don't think I don't even think that's part of it. But what do I know? I don't freaking have a clue. It's like I tell people all the time. It's either one of two things, probably. It's probably either completely off. Like when we get to the other side, we're going to be like, oh, what we thought it was. Or it's going to be exactly, and we're all in trouble. One of the others.
I go back to, we're just beggars showing other beggars where to find bread.
That, man. You have such a good energy.
Uh, Thank you. But so the second part to that question, if Gerard Butler's playing you, who plays his love interest in that feature film about your life? And while you think about that,
Johansson, man.
who's that?
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, there you go.
Gosh. Oh,
I always say Halle Berry. My wife, she used to get upset. Now she just knows it's coming. So that's just all. Dwayne Johnson and Halle Berry, I'd go watch that movie, whether it was about me or not. So
really, man, she was Storm, dude, and X-Men. I wonder if it's going to still be called X-Men or would it be X-People?
just be X. Just call it X.
X, yeah. Boy, man, things sure have gotten sensitive lately, haven't they?
Oh, that's a fact. But Nolan, I want to get you out on this question. And I've actually lost 3 good friends, heroin overdoses, a couple of friends with suicide. And it's such a helpless feeling. And you just think like, I was there for you. Why didn't you reach out to me? In your recovery, what would you share for those that have survived, those that are left and they're just questioning, why didn't they reach out? How could I have helped, or how could that intervention have gone better or more smoothly? What advice would you give based on the experiences you've had?
Oh, man. I don't think that I have the authority or the
Just your opinion. Just your opinion.
know how to even give advice on that. My opinion, from what I've studied, because I've been obsessed about it myself, why? Like Brent Smith from Shinedown says, the hardest question to answer is why. Kind of like me and Howie talked about. I just have to remember that my dad was not well. I don't believe there's good or bad people anymore. I believe there's either well or unwell people. And I think anybody at any moment, any nanosecond, has the ability to have an awakening or to whatever you want to call it, to become well. But it takes work. And I can tell you what, man, like it's worth all the work, but it's a constant thing for me. I wish I could show you my phone right now, but it's the freaking webcam. But I have a gratitude list that is probably, I'm not even kidding you, it would probably reach from here to New York, from Los Angeles to New York. It is so long. I've been doing it for 10 years. My mom asked me to email it to her once. It took forever to send it. But it's just something that I do because from what I've learned, the brain gets into this habit. It's called a neuroweb, I guess. And the brain gets in a habit of either negative thinking or positive thinking. And so to try to make this answer more concise, it's a 2-part answer. I would tell those people they just were not well. They weren't well. And it's not your fault. You know, I mean, the only way it would be your fault is if you freaking tied the noose for them and said, step in, you know? But the other thing too, to realize is that Ram Dass talks a lot about this. I don't know if you've heard of Ram Dass, but he's a philosopher and a speaker. And his job was to help people die. He would go be with people in hospice as they would pass away. And one of the things that he talks about, because that was my problem, was I couldn't understand my dad's death. And I was also myself obsessed with death. And it's all I thought about. And I met a wonderful woman named Heather Ferguson who taught me so many amazing things about life. She's the reason why I went on the show and got 4 chairs turned. She taught me about the victory pose. I do victory poses before all of my performances. Okay. But that's another story. And then we always end up getting images on TV of me doing that. It's kind of creepy. It's like I manifested it or something. But one of the things that he talks about, and he does it so much more eloquently, I'll send you the link if you want to check it out. But he says that sometimes how do I say this? The way I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but he says he believes that people's souls or their spirits know how amazing it is over there on the other side. They know that the pain and suffering does not exist on the other side. They know how beautiful it's going to be on there. And sometimes people are suffering so much and they're hurting so much that they feel like they've got to get out of their skin suit, so to speak. And they've got to just get back to that other side. And so they will take their lives in hopes of getting over there. a lot of times it's not because they want to hurt other people. It's not even because they're just like possessed or something. It's just because they somehow believe with all their heart that whatever's over there is going to be better than what's here. And a lot of it is caused by bullying and all kinds of things. Anyways, and it could be medication. It could be a number of things. Who knows? I don't have the answers to the complex thing, but I would say there's not, me telling you not to blame yourself is not going to do a thing.
Right.
In time, what I will say, someone just wrote me on Instagram and said that they woke up and their boyfriend had taken his life. And she said, it must be much worse to have a father to do that, but I just don't know how to get past it or whatever. And what I wrote her back, thanks to my friend Jared, who goes through messages that I can't get through.
Yeah.
And he finds the ones that he thinks maybe I could help somebody, and he sends them to me, and I call him back or write them. And anyways, I wrote her and I said, if you don't mind of me suggesting something, I would suggest to go into silence and be silent at least 10 minutes a day and just be alone and silent and shut off all the sound, turn off your phone, and ask God, ask the universe / God / whatever the heck it's called, for understanding and peace. And I promise you it will come. It'll take time, but it will 100% come, and you'll understand it. For me, as grandiose as this may sound, I believe it was all a part of, I think that life could have still turned out great without that happening. I'm not saying it turned out great because it happened. I'm just saying that because of my dad doing what he did, he felt like his life was over, that he had nothing left to contribute to life. And he was 54. He thought that there was nothing more he could do. He was just a burden on everyone. But because he did that, I never did it. I won't do that to my son and to my daughter and my mom. I just won't do it. At least I believe I won't, but I think it's just something. I'm sorry for the long answer, man, but there's
No, it's perfect.
no way to explain it. All we can do is try to fight it before it happens. After it's happened, there's really nothing left to talk about.
Well, I think with what you've been saying as well, being vulnerable is great, but we need to be vulnerable to the point where we can be held accountable and know that we can't do it alone. And just a connection, whether it's somebody watching this on YouTube or listening to it as a podcast, but they understand they are not the only ones that are struggling, but they understand that together we can certainly make it through, hand in hand. It may be in a different context going through a field, but we can really be there for one another. And I just appreciate you making the time.
Absolutely, man.
And understanding that.
I actually yesterday started writing this song with my friend Johnny. It was I want to show you just the chorus.
Please.
It's like he plays a really cool guitar part. He started playing a riff. I get a lot of songs when someone's just playing a riff, but it's like tuning is caring. All right. How did it go? There it was. That was it. I think it was something like this chorus just fell out of nowhere, and I didn't think about it. It just happens. But it was like, hold on, 'cause right around the bend, the sun will surely shine again. Sorry. No, it was. It's all right. We're keeping it real. All right, it was, can you hear everything okay? Is it too much reverb?
No, you sound great.
I can't tell. It was like, hold on, 'cause right around the bend, the sun will surely shine again if you hold. I messed it up again. One more try. Here we go.
All right.
Hold on, 'Cause right around the bend, the sun will surely shine again if you hold on. I know it's hard to bear, I promise you that I've been there. Just hold on, just hold on, just hold on, just hold on, just hold on. I messed it up, it's supposed to go. Just hold on. And the verse was something like, I know you think you've lost it all and you've got no one left to call, but I'm waiting on the line, and I don't have the rest of the words. Na 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 na. Hold on, 'cause right around the bend, the sun will surely shine again if you hold on. I know it's hard to bear, promise you that I've been there. Just hold on, 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 just hold on. Anyways, it's a simple little song that we came up with really quick, but
Man, that's wonderful.
you got to
I
hear the lead guitar parts. Makes it. What makes it? So.
I actually officiated a funeral this morning, a celebration of life, and that chorus fits perfectly into what took place today. But Nolan, thank you so much for making the time. It's an honor to have you on. We wish you all the best. And
you know, officially, I never played a song. I played a part of a song. So
that works. That works for me. That works for me.
I would love to come back on your show whenever this show's over, God willing. Who knows how far I'll go, but the cool thing is I'm already getting to do what God's will is. That is to help.
What is the time frame? So if you do make it to the end, how many more weeks is it? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I literally don't. I don't know. I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time, and I haven't like looked into all of the details really. I just, you know, if an email comes in, I try to just do what I can, the best I can. But, you know, I haven't asked my lawyer any of that stuff or the producer. I just don't want to be that guy who reaches out and sounds like I'm plotting. Like that's not, I don't have a release of my record planned. I don't, none of that. I just kind of am was letting it happen, and it's really turning out great. And, yeah, man. So
that's great. Hey, so one question I wanted to ask that I forgot. Do you prefer, I assume you prefer singing your own stuff versus a cover, or are there some songs that you just enjoy so much that you do like to sing covers as much, or if not more than your own songs?
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, the cool thing, man, I love singing original songs because I don't know, I feel like I'm tuning into God's radio or something, man. I don't know. I feel like I can't believe that I freaking came up with it. I probably didn't. I probably am stealing some melody and I'm going to get sued. But then what's cool about original or cover songs is I actually have a record that I am currently almost done with. It's called Under the Cover Songs. Trademark 2020. I'm just kidding. So it's such a dad joke. But and the album cover has a woman looking up underneath the covers, and the covers have all the lyrics, cover songs. Anyway, so stupid. But I like cover songs because it's like proven that song's good. Like it's not a question of is it good. It's like, you know, like Tiny Dancer, there is no, is that a good song? It's like everyone loves that song. We know it's a good song. And plus, if I connect with the lyrics, then, oh, look at that. It disconnected me. That's God saying, shut up, go eat dinner. But anyway, Yeah, I guess the app quit on me. Yeah, I think it's cool because those songs are guaranteed songs that people connect with. And if I connect with lyrics, I definitely connect with Tiny Dancer. I really connect with the Florence and the Machine song. You know, I
And then
wanted to do a song that everybody knew that people could sing along with at home. I wanted to give people a concert at home. And as much as I want people to hear my songs and I want people to go buy my songs, please, so me and my son can continue eating. As much as I wanted that, I felt like we just needed to sing a song together around a campfire.
Yeah.
And that was my intention with doing that.
Sounds great. And sometimes you sound better than the original. So that even makes it better.
I appreciate
Nolan, hey, thank you so much for making the time. We wish you all the best. And hopefully, I'd love to stay in touch.
Let's do, please. I'll keep my word, and we'll do one when I'm off the show and I can sing a bunch of songs. And now that I figured out how to get my microphone into the computer across, so it sounded good. Everything sounded okay.
Sounded good.
I actually didn't even have my guitar plugged in, man. It sounds better with the guitar plugged in. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, you guys. Is there anything you want me to say while I'm here? You have this microphone audio. Do you want me to do like a what is it? What's the name of the podcast? You want me to say it or something? If you're listening to,
Yeah, just say you're listening to the Backfire podcast with Jeff Fuller.
You're listening to the Back Five podcast with Jeff Fuller, and my name's Nolan Neal.
There you go, Nolan.
My name's Nolan Neal, and you're listening to the Back Five podcast with Jeff Fuller.
There you go. Good work. Good work.
Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks so much.
Sound bassy like Howard Stern. Appreciate it.
I like that.
Okay. All right. Peace.
All right. And again, that's Nolan Neal. He's on America's Got Talent. Make sure you watch Instagram, Nolan Neal, and Twitter is the same at Nolan Neal. We'll be back later. Catch you all. Thanks again. Jay Fuller Interviews, the Backfire podcast on Spotify.